Strange but true stories. Tales from the light side, the dark side, and the other side. I'm Steve White. Have you ever had a premonition? A feeling so strong that you knew something bad was going to happen? What about being an empath? But not just of the living, but also understanding the emotions of the dearly departed. Would you ask for these powers if they could be handed out? Sure, we say. We'd love to know the winning Powerball numbers or the next Super Bowl winner so we could bet big and buy our own private island. Sure, we say. We'd love to hear from Grandma a few years after she passed on. But from the people we have heard from, that's not how this works. You don't get to select the future event to look at or connect with only the lost people you want. Instead, these seek you out and connect with you, even if you don't understand the who or what or why. The following is a story submitted to us by a viewer just like you, who, through a series of horrifying encounters, attained the ability of the third eye. My story is one that I haven't come to terms with yet. I deal with it daily, and at times it is unbearable. But here it is, and maybe there is somebody else out there that can help or be helped by this. When this first started, I was 6 years old, living with my mom and grandmother in a small town in Virginia. Life was very peaceful and mostly routine. There wasn't much excitement in my life then. I went to school, came home, did homework, went to bed, rinse and repeat. We didn't have a lot of money, but we weren't poor. My mom worked several jobs, and my grandmother worked a job as well. My grandmother was very religious. We faithfully went to church. On Sunday, it was Sunday school, followed by church, followed by more church on Sunday night, and then Bible study on Wednesday. My grandmother was a quiet woman, but she was stern. She always made sure I said my prayers every night. She explained prayers kept the bad spirits away and gave me a veil of ethereal protection from God of anything trying to harm me in my sleep. This was ritual, and she did not waver when it came to this practice. My mom used to joke and tell me that if I didn't say my prayers at night, that I would become like the girl from the Exorcist movie. My mom was very funny. She also liked to scare me a lot as a child. She would hide in closets, put on scary masks, and jump out from behind corners. She tended to take it a little bit too far most of the time. And she also had the belief in the supernatural, which she conveyed to me as well. I was a bit of a weird kid. I liked science. Not that liking science makes you weird, but I took my love for science a little further than every other kid I knew. I loved trying to debunk things. I didn't just take things somebody told me. I needed to gather the facts and experience it for myself. I was a very inquisitive kid. On the weekends, I would go to my grandfather's house. This was the best. I could stay up as late as I wanted, watch cartoons and TV shows my mom didn't allow me to watch. I remember this one show. I want to say it was called Most Haunted, and I think it aired on ABC. Anyway, that's not really important to the story, but the show talked of America's most haunted places and the ghosts, ghouls, demons that inhabited them. The narrator's voice used to creep me out, but yet intrigued me at the same time. Scary and true. That is when my interest in the paranormal began. I watched shows such as Tales from the Crypt, Are You Afraid of the Dark, and various other scary shows and movies. But it is what happened shortly after that changed my view of the paranormal forever. It was past midnight and I was at home sleeping. I was having an extremely vivid dream. In the dream, I was flying. I could feel the wind buffeting on my face. I was flying over the nearby city, watching a few cars drive up the road. I remember being anxious because I was afraid of heights. In my dream, I tried to land, but I couldn't figure out how. My anxiety level elevated. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest in my dream. I started flying faster and faster and faster, and then I suddenly stopped and started falling. It felt like I was on some crazy roller coaster heading straight downward. I could not catch my breath, but right before I hit the ground, I woke up. I shot straight up in bed, checking to see if I was hurt or injured. I remember breathing very fast, short breaths. Everything seemed okay. And then I looked up and noticed a ball of light. My bed sat right in front of my bedroom door. I could see straight down the hall into the living room. And there was a pure white ball of light dancing in the living room. I told myself that it was just some cars going by, but our walls were so thin that you could always hear cars as they went by, and it was silent outside. In fact, it was eerily quiet. I had twin beds in my room, and I slept on one, and my grandma slept on the other, but she was working that night and wasn't home yet. My mom's door was shut, so I knew it wasn't her playing one of her tricks on me. I got up and slowly walked into the living room. But before I crossed the threshold from my room to the hallway, the light vanished. In the living room, we had tall vertical blinds that went down to the floor. I checked the blinds and they were closed. There weren't any cracks in them, so no light could possibly come through. I heard a car going past the house and watched as the light from the car just swayed from left to right at my feet. Nothing like the ball of light I had just seen. It was nowhere near the wall where I saw the ball of light. I convinced myself that I was just tired and seeing things. I went back to my room, crawled back in bed, and closed my eyes. A few moments later, sensing something, I opened my eyes and there it was again, the same ball of light I had seen earlier. It was moving in a figure 8 pattern, dancing back and forth. It seemed to duck behind both walls at the end of the hall just before coming back into view. I was nervous. I closed my eyes again and started reciting the Lord's Prayer as my grandmother had taught me. I finished the prayer and opened my eyes. To my horror, it was still there, but it seemed bigger than before, like it had moved closer to me. It continued to dance closer and closer to me. I was frozen. I was mortified. I couldn't scream. I couldn't get away from it, and I was cornered in the back of our apartment alone. It continued drifting its way to me. It was close enough to see it glimmer in the hallway, and then it stopped. It hovered for a moment, no flickering, just solid light. Then it started backing away from me, as if someone hit reverse on the remote, but at the same speed it had come forward. I watched it disappear behind the corner of the wall, and I didn't see it again that night. Halloween was just a few days away, and my mom was at an all-time high with pranks. She hid in the closet, jumping out with a werewolf mask on. She scared me so bad I tripped over the bed and nearly broke my toe. She felt awful for causing that to happen, so she iced it for me and took me shopping for my Halloween costume. Halloween came and went, and things were more relaxed around the house. My mom had chilled a bit on the pranks, and I had kind of forgotten about that light. In early November, after a very relaxing day, I was in my room ready to go to sleep. I started getting this strange feeling that I could feel eyes watching me. The closet door, which was on the other side of the other twin bed, was opened slightly. I got a feeling of unease looking at the darkness inside the closet. I certainly was not going to get up to close it. I figured my mom was going to jump out of the closet at any moment. But after a while, nothing happened. I breathed a sigh of relief, laughed at myself for being so paranoid, and I finally got up and closed it. I hopped back into my bed and quickly fell asleep. And I started having that dream again, the one where I'm flying, speed up, and then fall straight to the ground. I tried to wake up, but I couldn't. I felt like I was awake, but I couldn't open my eyes. I couldn't move, talk, or anything. I was paralyzed. I struggled for what felt like 15 minutes. I kept trying to call my mom. My mouth wouldn't open. I couldn't even muster a sound from my throat. I remember thinking, "Get off of me." I thought this was my mom playing another trick on me. I struggled some more and kept trying to scream, but I couldn't. I began to get this feeling of increased pressure or weight on top of me. I kept trying to scream, "Get off me!" But again, no sound came out. And then my eyes opened. I had the blanket over my head, so I couldn't see anything yet. I tried to move again, and I felt the pressure slowly lifting off of me. I gave one good thrust and threw the blanket off me. What I saw after that terrified me. A dark figure pivoted to its right and bolted out of the bedroom. The creature looked oddly reptilian. It had horns and a long tail. It had dark, ruby red eyes, and it ran fast. It took something from me. To this day, I don't know what it took, but its hand or claw or whatever you want to call it was clutching something as it ran away. I was more than a little freaked out by that. I struggled to understand what it was at the time. Heck, I'm still unsure of what I saw that night. I didn't sleep much, if at all, the remainder of the night and struggled nights after. But I started to notice that I could perceive other things. Spirits. I had opened myself up to them and they started to appeal to me. Not in a grand way, but I could sense very intense emotion. Sometime after I felt like I had gained this ability, I went to a graveyard and my senses were on overload. I felt like I was going to go crazy, feeling so many emotions from those who had passed on that it was unreal. It was another 8 years before I saw the creature again. We had moved and we were no longer living on that side of town. In this new place, there was a lot of negative energy which may have conjured its revisit. On the night of the second visit, I was at home alone. The upstairs of this house was in the shape of a T, bedrooms on the left and right, bathroom and stairs in the middle. I was cleaning my room and I got that feeling again of being watched. I had the television on, so that gave me a little comfort. Just having noise around sometimes helps. I did not pay attention to the feeling, really. I was hanging clothes in my closet, and then I turned my head to the left, and there it was, perched on my parents' bed on the other side of the hallway. It was about 15 feet or so away from me. I saw its glowing red eyes, curled horns, strong legs, but its arms were longer than the last time I had seen it. The air seemed to go stiff and deathly silent as I looked into its eyes. Maybe I am just seeing things, a reflection or shadow distortion. So I looked away and I looked back, and it was still there. It was what I thought it was, and I was in a panic. I raced to the phone and called my grandma, and when I turned back, it was gone. But after this visit, my perceptibility of the paranormal grew immensely. I've seen many more apparitions. I've become an empath for spiritual emotions. I can sense when an unseen presence is near. I constantly see dark figures everywhere I go, but when I look in the direction, they aren't there. I had premonitions while dreaming, sensing the death of my aunt and the death of my cousin. I had a premonition of a diagnosis that I received a few days later. At the time, I was dating someone, and I didn't know anything about his family yet. I had 4 subsequent dreams about his grandmother, whom I had never met, nor did I know who it was yet. In 2 of the dreams, I visited her former house and experienced two very emotional moments that he had had with her. When I told him about the dreams, he was astonished because there was no way I could know that. He had never told me about any of it. The other two dreams were about conversations with her in the hospital. She was talking to me as if I was him. We had chats, and she told me some very personal things that I didn't understand. I told him about these visions and what she had said, and he broke down crying. The day after the fourth dream, she passed away early that morning. I asked him later what she meant by what she said. He stated that she was telling him that her spiritual body was ascending, and that she was using me to tell him goodbye. Is this a blessing or a curse? Seeing that creature twice 8 years apart shook me to the core. I constantly have feelings of being watched from dark spaces. Though I don't see it, I can feel it is there. But I have my third eye ability. Things continue to happen every day that I still don't understand, but I have embraced it, and maybe this could do some good one day. Well, that is my story, and it is completely true. This has been another Strange But True Stories, submitted to us by a viewer just like you. Anything unexplainable ever happened to you that you would like to share with us? Send us your story to strangebutTrueStories2@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought of this story in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and sign up for notifications by clicking the bell in the upper right to know when the next video drops to the channel. Check out our website, and we also have merch. You can go to teespring.com and search for Strange But True. There are some t-shirt and hoodie options available. More options on the way soon. Thanks for watching this video. I'm Steve White. Until next time.